Hello, Soul Circle, and hello to those of you in Clear Your Conditioning, because I'm going to share this video in there for you guys also, because today I'm going to talk about why I became a soul coach and kind of my journey in part. I won't go into all of it because it's way too long, but in part, how I kind of came to discover that this was part of my purpose, part of my mission, let's say. And I think it will help those of you who are probably feeling like you're a bit stuck, maybe feeling like you don't have a purpose, probably those of you who feel like life is maybe kind of passing you by, or you actually just don't see where you're going. Okay? So, for those of you who have literally just joined the Soul Circle or joined Clear Your Conditioning and you're not really sure who I am Gail, and I work as a soul coach or a soul alignment strategist, I like to say, because I'm literally helping you to align with your potential, right? To align with your purpose, to align with your true self, to align with love, to align with, seeing life bigger than you're probably living it right now. And how this kind of came about is, where will I start from? I'll start back, I would say my journey really from a sort of conscious perspective really started after I had my daughter. So not before then. Before then, I was absolutely an empath. I always have been an empath. I think every empathic person is that from a very young age. Maybe we're just born that way. A highly sensitive person is an empath, if you don't know. Empaths are people who feel emotions in other people. They very often get very overwhelmed and confused about those emotions that they are feeling. They very often believe that they are the cause of the problem if other people are feeling angry or upset or sad. And they are absolutely, I'm sorry, empaths amongst us, but we are absolutely people pleasers. We are the ones that are trying to fix things, to, patch up the void, let's say, of disconnection. We like when people are happy. We don't particularly enjoy it when people are sad, and we want to go in there and fix it all. We are generally the healers, as part of the population on Earth. Okay? Empaths, maybe I'll get into this later, but basically empaths are the kind of heart-led people of the world, but I like to sort of say heart-led warriors need to unite. Usually we are being heart-led warriors, where we're just worrying about things and not actually doing what our potential calls us towards. So that's one little thing, okay? So an empath is a person who really feels, I love astrology also. I kind of hid that for years because I hid the sort of spiritual side of me. Although I was brought up in the Baptist church, I hid the areas that were maybe not aligned with church. I left that when I was about 14 or something. And I didn't really find my thing until the birth of my daughter. She was a catalyst for many of the changes in my life because she had a lot of illness. She was allergic to, or basically I think, looking at it now, it was probably leaky gut, where she was eating foods at like 7, 8 months old, starting to react to them, swelling, having loads of problems with her skin. Her face was torn and bleeding because she was so stressed and itchy. And everything, she just couldn't eat anything. It was a nightmare. And so I spent a long time, at least 2 years, becoming kind of obsessed about healing this thing. I knew there was a correlation with food. I was determined to solve this problem. And through that journey, I got really into raw food. I met a whole group of people, which I couldn't believe, who lived in Glasgow, in Scotland. The place of fried Mars bars, would you believe? I met these people at a potluck where everyone brings food and eats together, like literally like about 15 minutes away from me. I couldn't believe it, walking, very close. And so I then discovered that those people were all trying to heal themselves from some kind of disease, and through changing their diet, they actually had a completely different mentality. So they were much more open to law of attraction, for example, gratitude, looking at life in a totally different way, about taking responsibility, all of that. And, I remember my friend Emma saying to me, oh, this is just the start. And I had no idea what she was talking about. But actually, that was what she was talking about. It was the change that would happen in awareness, I believe. She might disagree, but that's what I believe now. I'll need to ask her. So so that's how my journey started. And what happened was, through the change of diet, trying to heal my daughter, I noticed that clarity started to come to me in certain aspects of life. I started to see much more about who I was, about who I was showing up as. And then I did some work with a good friend of mine who was working on a course called Calling in the One, which is about calling in your perfect partner, even though that's not what I was looking for at the time. I literally just became so intrigued about the conversation that we would have around this work that she was doing that I really wanted to do the course. But I didn't want to ask her if I could do it, because I knew that I wasn't looking to call in my perfect partner, because at the time I was in a relationship with my daughter's father. And so I just kind of kept quiet. And then one day she came to me and said, I'm having a bit of trouble. Someone has dropped out and I need to do this training. And I'm not supposed to ask any friends, but would you do this for me? So of course I said yes, because now I'm just helping the friend. It's not really that I'm interested. And as I did that course, it started to show me aspects of me that I really absolutely did not see. I absolutely believed that I didn't fit in my family. I felt victimized. I didn't understand that I was part of the problem. And doing that work with her showed me where I was showing up as a weak version of myself, as a version of myself that kept me as the victim. And so, that's a huge part of the work that I do today, because it was so revolutionary for me to start to understand that I could take responsibility for how I showed up. I was not speaking my truth. I was not confident in speaking my truth, and I had a deep-seated belief that if I did speak my truth, I would be cut out and I would not belong. How many of us can relate to that? I'm sure there are many of us, Empaths are usually the ones that are trying to conform so that they fit, because they always feel kind of different, because we're so sensitive, right? We're usually overwhelmed. So I had that going on, and that sort of started to open me up to many, many insights. Like, I had daily insights regularly, even when I wasn't doing anything particularly amazing. I didn't have to be sitting meditating, or I didn't have to be listening to an audio book based on some spiritual philosophy. I didn't have to be reading a book based on like law of attraction. All I had to do was be doing the dishes and be quiet with myself and listen. So I learned that there were voices inside of me chattering away, talking all the time. Now, some of these voices were, let me put it this way, not very helpful. They were running in the background, saying horrible things, right? Saying horrible things about my situation in my relationship, saying horrible things about me, saying horrible things just generally, right? It didn't even have to be that negative. Hi, hey Xander, hi Tom, and hi John. Sorry, I'm not saying hi, I'm just in the flow. You can relate to much of this. I think probably everybody in this group will be able to relate to this in some respect, right? This is a universal problem. We all have voices inside of us that are taking over. We are many parts. We are not just one person. We are many parts of personality. The problem happens when the parts of personality take over and we actually have absolutely no idea that they're even there. Us as the waking 3D conscious walking about, making the dinner, doing the dishes person, we have no idea that that angry voice is in here, or that victimized voices in here until the point where we are triggered, and then that personality takes over, or as Eckhart Tolle would say, the pain body takes over, but it's a personality trying to protect you from something that's been running in here. And this programming is what I like to deal with. Now, I don't call myself a mindset coach because I believe that this stuff goes much deeper. This is why I call myself a soul coach, because I believe that, yes, your thinking is part of the problem, in the sense of your ego is using this negative pattern to try and keep you safe. But the problem is there's actually a disconnection. Most of us are trapped in our heads and trapped in the past and trapped in our pain. We are disconnected from our body in the moment. We are not able to hear what our body says to us in the moment in a deep way. We hear the anxiety, we hear the fear, we hear or feel the discontent, let's say, right? That uncomfortable feeling of not feeling supported by self. That uncomfortable feeling of not feeling that you can fully trust yourself. And I'm always saying to my clients that you don't trust yourself, or rather this part of you doesn't trust you. Your inner child and your ego doesn't trust you. This is why your ego has to do this job of self-protection, because the inner child is scared, and the inner child is not just scared of the world. He or she is scared of you, because you have shown up as an untrustworthy parent for him or her. You have abandoned that part of you for years. And I see it over and over and over and over again, that the real reason why we are so stuck and lacking in purpose and not reaching our fullest potential is because that part of us has not been nurtured and cared for. We've simply forgotten about it, or we've turned away from it and put judgment all over it and not listened. You know, like I've talked about one of my clients previously who we really worked on her inner child and discovered that she really loved pottery, making ceramics, right? I'm trying to think of some other people. Other people are like people who maybe are similar to me, have not fully embraced their spiritual self because of the judgment around it, whether it's judgment from a religious perspective or judgment from a kind of atheist perspective of, you know, my family don't believe in any of that, so I can't embrace it. You see it probably more on the planet with people trying to embrace their sexuality or embrace their rights to be, you know, a woman making the same amount of money as men, and race and all of that stuff. But the part of us that's forgotten about, you know, on a subtler level, is the part of us that actually just doesn't feel fully lovable or fully worthy in our own skin. And if we don't start there, then all of the rest is just a fight to belong. When we go home, we still don't feel like we belong. You know, this is why there are people out there with eating issues or alcohol issues or drug issues or using sex to escape or whatever it is, right? Or running away from every relationship they've ever had, because we're actually terrified of making ill-made choices. We don't fully trust ourselves, right? Kind of feel like I've gone right into one, but basically you can see how I kind of started and why I became so passionate about it. Because as I woke up, as all of these insights started to happen, I started to see things in other people. And I don't mean just see them like, you know, like I could see little bits of what was going on. Like I could look at a person and I knew exactly why they were acting in a certain way. Now, I'm not saying that I fully embraced that straight away, but I would start talking about it. I would start questioning them. And so living in London at the time in a house share, what happened was I started helping these people that came to live in the house. Like whenever one person left, there was a new person coming, and there was a joke that I had which was, I know if you're coming to live here, then you're ready, you know, to make a change. You're at the point of a transition. And that's absolutely true. I could say for 99% of the people that came to live there, because what happened was is the way that our house was and the people who were in it, we loved to have those kinds of conversations, and we would all help one another. And I would regularly be coaching people without realizing I was coaching them. I literally was just able to see what their situation was, to feel into it, and to give them advice. So my ability to be a soul coach was actually a natural disposition based on my waking up. You know, I already had a flavor of that in the past, but I wasn't owning it the way that I was in that moment. And so eventually, after helping a lot of people who I lived with and helping friends of mine, people started asking me why I wasn't doing this. Why was I not doing that as my job? Why was I being a detox coach or making raw chocolate or, you know, helping run events or whatever? Why was I not doing that? And I kind of sort of dabbled in it. There was a year where I sort of tested myself, and then some things happened that kind of knocked my confidence, and not my confidence in my coaching, but in other areas of my life. I was still waking up to things in me that were not helpful, including a very toxic relationship that I was in, where really that was a huge catalyst in the sense of it was so condensed and so compressed. My soul felt like it was literally being squashed, that I was really tested in my ability to remain conscious as that was happening, and to understand that what was like really the point of that relationship, or maybe I understood this like later, much later, was that as long as I had a compassionate and action-taking parent within, which is what I teach you guys, then no matter what came at me, I didn't have to be victimized by it. I had this clarity. There was space to be able to hear this voice that loved me, that believed in me, that could see how I wanted to heal other people, how good I was as a person. And not from an ego place. I mean that because like when I work with people, I want to swear, fucking care. I really care. I really want you to experience what I've experienced. I really want you to wake up. I don't want to leave anyone behind. Sadly, sometimes people aren't ready. That's okay. But that's kind of where the foundation of me is in my work. I want to help you get to that place where your fullest potential is in alignment with your soul, and where you can walk away from me and you can hear your soul voice. You don't need me anymore. Right? You might want to stick around, right, and see what else I'm doing, or be a part of my tribe, which is cool. But I want you to get to the point where you are free enough to be able to really trust yourself, so that your inner child absolutely knows that you have his or her back, that you're not going to abandon him, that you're not going to run away from her when she's afraid, that you're not going to hide and dismiss the fear that you have, that you're going to meet it, you're going to listen to it, you're going to ask it questions, and you're going to find out what that part of you needs. And then you can get to hear the critical voice, where you can start to understand that actually this voice sounds like my dad or my granddad or my mom or my sister or whoever. Because there's much of us that is taken on from moments in childhood, and a kind of egoic voice, like an imprint that's passed down family generations, that we embody. We kind of absorb it into our cellular memory, and then it comes out as a very unconscious persona. So we want to claim ourselves back, or reclaim ourselves, and stop kind of repeating that egoic imprint. We want to clear that up so the next generations have a hope in heaven of really making change on the planet, you know? So that's just a little bit about my story, you know? Feel free to ask any questions about that if you don't really understand some of the things I'm saying. And I want to leave you with this. So to those of you watching and those of you watching on the replay, if you haven't already, please join Clear Your Conditioning. I will leave the link in this live stream. It's a free 6-day course where I'm going to take you hand in hand, where we're going to look at some of that family conditioning look at the root, because this is where we have to start. If we don't start here, then every other piece of spiritual work can just lead to a spiritualized ego, because you're not actually embodying it. We need to work on the human level. We're here to help the human, not the soul. The soul knows what it's doing. It is as it is, and as it always has been. We're here to help the human version of you, right? The you that's here present right now with the troubles and the, the toxic repeating patterns that you might have, or the emotional imbalance that you might have. So sign up for Clear Your Conditioning. We start on Sunday the 4th of August, so a week from now. And I look forward to seeing you in the group. Once you join, you'll be sent an email to your inbox. Make sure the emails are coming directly to your inbox, not to your spam, because all of the videos I will send out every day go there. And then I will be doing a live stream with more information on the videos every single day also. So sign up for that, and I will see you in there. And as I said, feel free to ask questions, and I will be back soon. All right, loves, have a lovely Sunday. Bye for now. Mwah.